Modern American history. Those were the words of Ralph Nader, former Green Party presidential candidate who told BuzzFeed News on October 31st what the challenges would be for third party candidates in presidential elections. But we're going to talk much more than presidential elections. We're going to go down to even some Senate races as well, some U.S. Senate races. Thank you so much for joining me here. Welcome to HAPS News. I'm Cameron Sadeghi, and for the next few moments here, we're going to talk about third-party presidential results, and we're going to discuss the Senate races as well. So first, I just want to make this clear. Before we get into the presidential races, we're going to dive into two critical U.S. Senate races. I'm going to dive into one specifically with a guest very shortly. We're going to talk about the Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. race out in Arkansas between Tom Cotton. Huge race there for that third-party candidate, Libertarian candidate Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. And then we're also going to discuss with my next guest right now, Justin Beth, the Lisa Savage race, the main Senate race, which was a huge race. It garnered a lot of national headlines. You had Republican Susan Collins trying to keep her seat there. And I'm here with former co-chair of the Green Party, Justin Beth. Thank you, Justin, for coming onto the program.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. Glad to be here and talk about Lisa's election and the huge future of the third parties here in the U.S. So, yeah.
Before we dive deep into this specific race, what are the challenges that third-party candidates face in elections?
Well, you know, a number of things, right? And you with the Good Party, I'll mention the Good Party app, and really interesting talking about candidates and the challenges they face in regards to money and fundraising. So third-party candidates, often suffer from funds being diverted to progressive Democrats that are running for office. You look at the fundraising mechanism that Bernie Sanders had; it was incredible. If we had that kind of money behind an independent Green Party candidate that was running on Medicare for All, like Lisa Savage in this race in Maine, I think we could have seen very different results. So, often we're outspent. We don't get the media coverage we deserve. So in the case of Lisa's race, she actually got some funds, but way outspent by Sarah Gideon and Susan Collins, the Democrat and Republican. But she was on the debate stage, and a lot of people that saw the debates said that Lisa really won the debates that she was in. So, so those are two of the challenges. I would say also you could throw in ballot access and campaign finance reform, basically, making it a little bit maybe caps on spending on political campaigns to give a fair playing field for third party candidates.
And you look at the results, and the audience can see on the bottom of the screen. There was also another third-party or independent candidate, Max Lynn. We'll dive more into the race. But what was really interesting about this race and stood out was the fact that there was ranked choice voting. And I want to show here on the screen what this is all about. So ranked choice voting. If a candidate wins a majority, 51%, they're the winner, and that's what happened in this race with Susan Collins. But if no one reaches 51%, then you eliminate the last candidate, and then you move on forward, and then you eventually find a winner. What did the ranked choice voting component provide to this race?
Well, ranked choice voting is really a great electoral reform to allow, people to really vote freely with their values. And so Lisa on the debate stage would talk about, hey, if you want Medicare for all, then rank me first. And the one thing too is with ranked choice voting race, it's not just about voting for a single candidate; it's about ranking your candidates. And so we actually, one of Lisa's strategies was to say, hey, rank me first and the Democrat number two. Vote blue number two is what we would say. And so by doing that, a lot of people were concerned about getting rid of Susan Collins on the left. But they didn't feel like they could, use their vote, or their ranking, So they were very concerned about ranking Lisa first. But we would just say, look, you're not going to throw your vote away. If Lisa's eliminated, your vote will carry to Sarah Gideon with your number two. So it made it easier for Lisa for people to feel comfortable about ranking Lisa. And we really said, hey, take a look at Sarah's policies, take a look at Lisa's policies. And whichever policies you for her are better, rank them higher. So I think it really allows people to feel good about their vote, which is good, right? Rather than living in fear of the lesser evil.
Those who are opponents of ranked choice voting, they may look at a race like this and say it didn't really matter because Susan Collins got to 51%. What is your response to critics who say it doesn't matter because the incumbent still got 51%?
Well, it's really interesting. So I was looking at the numbers here, and both in spending and also the vote totals that you have there, right? So typically an election in Maine, so first of all, we have about 1,300,000 people in Maine. And of that, usually we have about 750,000 turn out to vote. And, we had, probably closer to 800,000 this time around. And so the turnout was a little bit higher. But so, how did Susan Collins win? Well, a few things. First of all, we've been hearing a lot lately about the Democrats that won their races were actually pushing for Medicare for all, right? And Mainers, the majority of Mainers want Medicare for all here in Maine as well. And Lisa, was a Medicare for all candidate, and she won a lot of those votes, or got a lot of those number ones. The thing that Sarah didn't do is she didn't really try to appeal to people for Lisa's number twos, even though we were saying it, right? So it's partly upon Sarah Gideon for not being a better candidate. Now, some other crazy things too, right? Maine is a very purple state, right? So we have a very kind of conservative district, second district, which Trump actually won the Electoral College vote because besides ranked choice voting, we have a very interesting way we split the Electoral College votes here in Maine. So Maine's a very interesting electoral state, and hopefully people will keep their eyes on Maine in the future. So Trump won in the second district, Biden won in the first district. That's usually how it goes, left and right, the schism there. But I heard that, and actually I there's evidence of it because you can see it on the signs. But there were some Trump Collins signs that were put up by the Maine Democratic Party, right? So the Maine Democratic Party spent a bunch of money on these Trump Collins signs, hoping that would hurt hurt Susan Collins by linking Collins with Trump. And I think it backfired, right? It's putting up a lot of free publicity for Susan Collins. It's crazy that the Democrats did that. But for some reason, they thought that was a good idea. But overall, Susan's got a long track record here in Maine, right? And, many of these people that, are now opposing her because of her vote for Kavanaugh or her alliance with Trump, had voted for Susan in the past. And Susan's also, made the case that she supports, jobs in Maine, right? And gets the spending here in Maine. So I think that, that's what won the day. And overall, it's interesting, too. The polling was off on this race. The polling had Sarah Gideon up by 1 to 4 points throughout most of the polling, with neither Susan or Sarah breaking 50%. So once again, the polls got it wrong. I've got a huge problem with polling, especially about third-party candidates. In this race, the ranked choice voting race, the polls didn't really cover correctly there, too, for most of them. Some statewide polls got it a little bit better, Bangor Daily News particularly. But in general, they don't poll really well with ranked choice voting. They don't know what to do with it in polls. And, they don't tend to give the third-party candidates as a choice in those polling. So I really, mainstream media polling is really terrible. And once again, they got it wrong in this race.
A commenter agreeing with you, saying from Reddit, polling wrong, shocking. But to transition on to more of how third-party candidates and what the future looks like for third-party candidates after this election, where do you see third-party candidates in the future? How much do you think they'll improve, or will we still see the kind of results that we saw in this election?
I think our odds are going to improve. So already here in Maine, we're seeing higher interest in the Green Party. We've been a fairly strong party, but we've gone through cycles of more popularity and less popularity over the years, right? The Democratic propaganda of us being a spoiler, right? So it's interesting. Somebody here in the Maine Green Party has a really cool video where we packed a huge auditorium, or it's the Cumberland County Civic Center. Thousands of people were there for the Green Party, and we had candidates lining the stage. This is back in the early 2000s, when Nader was running. We had all sorts of outside vendors coming in, different political action groups, kind of, or I shouldn't say political action groups, but activist groups with tables and stuff. But where do we go with third-party candidates? We push for electoral reform with ranked choice voting, right? Massachusetts had it on the ballot. Unfortunately, it didn't pass in Massachusetts, but I believe it did pass in Alaska. Municipalities can, in different cities across America, they have ranked choice voting now, and maybe they could push that to a statewide level. And we don't have it for all of our elections in Maine. We still have some work to do there. And hopefully we will get it for our state legislative races and our gubernatorial race. So ranked choice voting is really huge. And Fair Vote is doing an awesome job, getting out and fighting for ranked choice voting around the country. And, in terms of, third-party candidates, we really need to normalize third parties and, try to get the message across why people should join a third party. So why do why are there political parties? It's because you can coalesce with others around the same platform. And the Green Party platform is essentially the platform that Bernie Sanders ran on, but the rest of his party didn't support that platform. Bernie should realistically be a Green based on that. And so you look at Lisa Savage, she had an amazing platform, very inspirational, and that's really inspiring others to join the Green Party here in Maine, and also to consider running for office. So because we have ranked choice voting here in Maine, one of the things, I'm on the electoral committee here in Maine, and we really wanted to run this Senate race because we knew it would do really good for the party and for politics here in Maine to have a candidate like Lisa, give people that choice, because that was sorely lacking if Lisa hadn't been in this race. there wouldn't have been somebody for Medicare for all, ending wars, ending the war on drugs, a Green New Deal. You wouldn't have had any of that in this race. So again, inspirational candidates, getting people to interested in running. We have ranked choice voting elections for U.S. House in districts 1 and 2. So we have the 2 congressional districts in Maine in 2022. So right now we're already gearing up for the 2021 elections for municipal elections and state level races in 22 plus those 2 U.S. rep districts. So I think working with down ticket races and those up ticket races with, a state like Maine where we have ranked choice voting, I think we get people used to the idea of ranked choice voting. We run great candidates like Lisa Savage that are talking about what the majority of the people of Maine want and need, and what the majority of Americans want and need, right? We want to normalize being green, though, and registering as green, and really encouraging people to not fall for the bait again with the Democratic Party. It's happened a couple times. So in 2016, I was a delegate for Bernie Sanders. 2017, I became a Green, and I was not like I say I was burned once. BERNED, burned, as in Bernie Sanders, and back in 2016, and I won't be burned again. So I think people need to resist that bait of the Democratic Party dangling progressive candidates that they will never allow to win their primary. So better to go and support your local or state or federal level Green Party candidates that really need a hand.
Last question before you head on out here. You mentioned ranked choice voting and the importance of ranked choice voting. Is ranked choice voting the ultimate key for third-party success?
It's not the ultimate key. I mean, I'll tell you another. So again, I mentioned ranked choice voting. We need better ballot access, and in the presidential race, right? You had the Democratic Party was suing to get like Howie Hawkins off the ballot in certain states, right? And that's a bunch of crap. We need to fight that. We need to make it easier for candidates to get on the ballot, for petitioning requirements. Lisa technically was on the ballot as an independent, not as a Green, because of signature requirements. And that's a whole other story I could explain to you, but it'd take a little time. Ranked choice voting is not necessarily the key. And, we need to run candidates in every single state for whatever races we have good candidates that are running on our Green Party values. Or the Libertarian Party, right? You're talking third parties in general. So the idea of like safe states, safe blue states, or safe red states, and then it's okay to maybe vote for a Green, or a swing state you definitely don't want to touch a third party. I think so much of that is, again, this propaganda. Here in Maine, in Portland, Maine, we have about 7 state representative districts in the city of Portland. Something like that. And in this last election cycle, and again, the state rep races, it's every 2 years. We had like 5 or 6 unopposed Democratic Party candidates. So, not only are they're not running against a Republican at all. So there's no splitting the vote there in that race. So really, but it's hard to find Green Party candidates. We had one here in Portland. I would have liked to have seen, the rest of those races with a Green Party candidate in it. So we just don't give it to a Democrat that is running unopposed. We could push them farther to the left by running a Green Party candidate against them. So again, what I'm calling for is, really thoughtful electoral strategy, finding down ticket candidates, finding good candidates, getting them the training that they need to run for office. If somebody's interested in becoming a candidate, get them working on a campaign like Lisa Savage's so they can learn the ropes of campaigning. And really, it's getting people to understand, what really wins elections, and that's something that I'm helping Green Party candidates out with. What I saw being successful for Bernie, what I'd like to bring to the Green Party. There's still a lot to show candidates and explain to them, what really helps to win elections. But whether we have ranked choice voting or not, it's important we get good candidates out there running on Green Party platform policies that are what the people want.
Justin, thank you so much for coming onto the show, and hope to see you down the line.
Thank you, Cameron. And thanks for the great work that you do with your independent journalism, with the Good Party. And I'd love to talk with you offline about the Good Party a little bit more, learn more about that project that you have going. And I can fill you in on some of the other stuff with Lisa Savage's campaign for upcoming episodes or something.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you, anyone who has commented. I've been seeing your comments. The comment my guest made regarding the Good Party, I should have disclosed a little bit earlier. I work for an organization called The Good Party. It's a political organization where candidates can have an open platform to organize support for their campaign. I just want to disclose that because of the comment at the end and at the beginning. But let's go down some other races. I just want to, if you just joined, and thank you for the award right there, and those of you who have joined. So we just finished talking about the main Senate race. Susan Collins won, but we were talking about the third party candidate, Lisa Savage in particular. Lisa Savage and Max Lin were running in that race. Here, let me go full screen here. Show. Hold on. Okay, so sorry for the technical error. Third-party candidates, that's what, again, we're talking about third-party results and analysis. I saw a comment about Kanye. I'll get there. Someone said, how did Kanye do? You know this program would not be complete without talking about Kanye West's performance, his performance in the 2020 presidential election. But we have one more Senate race to go through, and then we'll get to presidential election results. So let's head to Arkansas, where, Arkansas, where Tom Cotton, the Republican incumbent, who was, of course, favored to win, there was no opposition for quite a while. Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. of the Libertarian Party jumps in to the race a few months ago. Dan Whitfield, who was a progressive independent, he tried to get on the ballot, was too late. His deadline expired. He needed to get 10,000 signatures by October. He didn't reach that mark. So you have Ricky Dale Harrington Jr., no Democrat, no other candidate. So it's a libertarian. You see in the green right there. It should be gold, but it's green here. This is from NPR. And it's Ricky Dale Harrington Jr. who squared up against Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton ran away with this. But again, this was the best third-party Senate candidate in terms of results, and the best performance ever from a Libertarian Party candidate running for U.S. Senate. So Ricky Dale Harrington Jr., for the first ever time, going for it all against Tom Cotton. He wins 3 counties against Tom Cotton here with 33.3% of the vote, with 97% reporting. AP hasn't reported at all yet. There's still votes coming in. But again, yes, Tom Cotton runs away, but a notable mention here with a Libertarian Party candidate going up against a Republican. Do we see this as a theme later on, where we see maybe Greens scoring up against Democrats in one-on-one matchups, or on the right wing side of things, on the right side of things, on the left side of things, Green Party versus Dem. On the right side of things, a Libertarian versus a Republican, like we just saw in this election. So we'll see if this becomes a new theme where, you'll start seeing matchups like this. Ricky Dale Harrington Jr., we'll see how his political career ends up going. Does he run again after having this historic performance as a Libertarian Party candidate? Okay, I know you've waited and you've been patient. Let's go into some presidential results. So I got to save the best, or the ones that the commenters were saying, or the one commenter about Kanye. I'm going to save Kanye for last. Let's go into the other third-party candidates. Let's start with the best performing third-party candidate. Jo Jorgensen, Libertarian, 1.2%. I've screenshotted this at 4:21 p.m. Pacific time. My guest says, thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on, Justin. So basically, getting back to the presidential results, Libertarian Party candidate Jo Jorgensen, the nominee, she had to fight for it. She got it with Spike Cohen. And she recorded so far, there's still more votes coming in all around the nation, but so far, 1.2%. I screenshotted that at 4:21 p.m. Pacific. That's from AP. Jo Jorgensen's best performances in Alaska, 2.5%. In North Dakota, 2.6%. She earned the second most votes ever for a Libertarian Party nominee. That's according to the Associated Press. Gary Johnson in 2016 outdid Jo Jorgensen in 2020. And if you go back to what I was talking about earlier, you had that Ralph Nader quote about how 2020 candidates struggling, 2020 third-party candidates struggling for the presidency. In 2016, much better performances from Gary Johnson, from Jill Stein. You didn't get that this time around from the Libertarian Party and the Green Party, and no real independent emerged out here. Yes, I'll get to Kanye, who was the independent candidate, and there were more candidates: Brock Pierce, Rocky De La Fuente of the Alliance Party. I'm not going to mention them because I don't have enough time. I got to go through this. But Jo Jorgensen, again, 2% in Alaska, 2.5% in Alaska, 2.6% in North Dakota. Those were her best performing states. Her home state, South Carolina, 1.1%. So again, in her home state, not doing as well in her home state compared to Western states like Alaska and North Dakota. If you're in that camp where you believe that third-party candidates take away from a major party, there is the theory, there is the belief, and there is even some research to suggest that a third-party candidate takes away from the major party. So if you're supporting a right-wing or right-leaning third party, that may take away vote, or the right-wing third-party candidate takes votes away from the Republican Party. And then when you look at the Green Party, taking away votes from the Democrat, there are some points of views and some theories to match that worldview and some research behind it. You may fall into that camp. I'm interested in seeing what you have to say in the comments. What do you think? Do you think that third-party candidates take away from either of the two major parties? If you do, then you may be interested in this. I just was spitting all over the computer. You may like this statistic here, this info. In Wisconsin, Jo Jorgensen and Spike Cohen recorded 38,415 votes. So again, you may be in that camp. You say Wisconsin was a battleground. President Trump needed it. He didn't get it. Did Jo Jorgensen take away votes? That's an interesting conversation. There are some who say yes, some who say no. I would love to see what you have to say in the comments. Let's move down the line. Howie Hawkins, the Green Party candidate, you see on your screen, 0.2% 0.2%. He didn't cross that 1% mark that Jill Stein was able to do. So 0.2% nationwide for Howie Hawkins. He's from New York, but in New York, he did better in his home state than he did nationally. 0.4%. He didn't cross the 1% threshold or the 1% mark in New York as well. So again, Howie Hawkins not replicating Jill Stein's 2016 results. Also some friction in the Green Party. Jesse Ventura was the nominee in Alaska, by the way. You may be thinking, Jesse the Body Ventura, Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota. Yes, Jesse Ventura was on the Alaska ballot. He was nominated by the Green Party of Alaska with Cynthia McKinney as his vice presidential candidate. Jesse Ventura only recorded 0.7% so far. Again, there's still votes coming in, 82% reporting. My guest is saying in the comment section, vote splitting is a myth. It's all about the candidates. That's one point of view. I was simply bringing up another perspective there. So again, with the Green Party, not on as many ballots, Libertarian Party on all 50 state ballots, including the District of Columbia. You could point to that as, the low numbers for Howie Hawkins in comparison to Joe Jorgensen. But the reality is third-party candidates not performing as well as 2016. And my guest, Justin Beth, commenting, we could have done better than Howie. Unfortunate. That's what some people are saying in the Green Party. And there was a movement to try to get Jesse Ventura become the full nominee in all of the states that the Green Party was on the ballot. That did not happen, but it did happen in Alaska. And lastly, we can't finish the broadcast without talking about Kanye West. Independent candidate, I have to go through this. I can also share some info about Jesse Ventura. My guest, someone commenting in the comment section, I would love to for you to type in about Jesse before we head on out. But Kanye West, the hype, he was going to be the guy. Is it going to happen? Was it going to happen? It didn't happen. Kanye West only recorded, hold on one second. Kanye West was only on 12 ballots, 12 state ballots. He put himself in. He put his name on the ballot. He was writing himself in, I believe, when he was voting in Wyoming. He didn't vote for anyone else on the ballot, but he did write in his own name. So Kanye West, again, not reaching that 1% mark. His best state was Tennessee, 0.3%, 10,216 votes as of the last time I looked, which was around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Kanye West, another important note here, he was not on the ballot in Wyoming. He has the $14 million ranch in Wyoming that he owns, but he was not on the ballot. He did write himself in, but you may wonder, how would he have done in Wyoming if he was on the ballot? And he has some plans for Wyoming. Did that play any factor there? And maybe it could have helped Kanye West if he was on the ballot in Wyoming. I'm not saying he would have won the state, but he would have had probably a better showing than Tennessee or Minnesota or any of the other states, any of the other 12 states that Kanye West was in. He announced in July. The election was November 3rd. The latest third-party candidate to enter into the race. So it was an uphill battle for an election that was mainly a referendum on President Trump. So it was not like 2016 where you had an open seat. It could go either way. Of course, this election could have gone either way, of course, but I'm saying this was more about, the President Trump and how people were viewing him and voting against him, essentially. But for Kanye, if you're a Kanye fan, there's hope for you. Kanye West tweeted out on November 4th, Kanye 2024. He tweeted out a photo Kanye 2024. So if you are a Kanye West fan and you are disappointed in the electoral result, you have 2024 to look forward to. He hasn't officially filed yet. He hasn't officially filed yet through the FEC, but he said it on Twitter. He's speaking it out into existence. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for coming on, Justin, Beth. Thank you so much for watching this broadcast on HAPS TV. I really appreciate it. First in-studio show. If sorry for the technical glitches. I'll improve upon that. My fault. But again, thank you so much for watching this special edition Election 2020 third-party results and analysis broadcast. I'm Cameron Sadeghi. I can't wait to do more and more broadcasts on here and improve as a broadcaster as well. Thank you so much for watching.